doing because I'm eating.
We cannot.
Thank God.
Well, howdy. Welcome to the content creation commentary workshop here for CCA, and happy that everyone is here. I imagine we're going to have more people rolling in throughout the night as that revolving door never stops moving. But I'm very happy with the people that have responded to being here today. So I want to first. I'll introduce PyroJ. PyroJ is an amazing commentator. I'll have him introduce himself here in a little bit, but I want to focus on first hour guest, which is DangerTaco. And Jeff, do you mind introducing yourself?
I suppose not.
Suppose not?
No, I don't suppose not at all. I'm the DangerTaco, I guess. Chronologically, I was a small-time caster, and then I began streaming at the exact same time. And then for a while, I kind of just did both to kind of make money on the side. And then progressively, when I got into about graduate school, which is about 2019, I started realizing they actually work together. They're not separate entities. So I kind of tried to orient my, I suppose you could say, brand or image on socials, specifically around the idea that I am both a caster who creates content and also a content creator who casts. So that's been kind of my appearance that I've been trying to keep up, if you've seen me around.
So you kind of killed my first question for you.
Get wrecked.
Right off the bat. It was going to be, why is content creation so important? I think you kind of answered it, but do you mind elaborating a little bit more on why, in your opinion, content creation is so important when being a commentator?
Well, when you're a commentator, everything is subjective. You can't rely on just, I'm a better caster than other people. Well, what does that mean? You have great verbal fluidity. You have a great vocab. You analyze the game really well. You have a interesting or quirky personality, or sometimes you just have a really unique voice. But the problem is that doesn't really matter at the end of the day, and that social currency is huge. Connections are huge. If you are able to get a gig through friends, great. If you're able to get a connection because you're a larger creator or because you have social reach, then that's even better. And so content creation is a way of not necessarily making yourself famous or by selling out and by doing random stuff. It's just by making sure that when someone looks at you and someone sees your face or name, they can say, oh, that's a caster. Oh, that guy creates X content. And it's just a way to kind of make yourself known in the scene. And I think there's a lot of reasons I like doing content. It's personally fun. It's an intrinsic interest of mine. But I think it also helps to know that sometimes when I run into people in ranked games or when I am just at a convention or something, people are like, oh, I know you did blah, 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 or you tweet out stuff about certain topics that I follow. And it's like, yeah, because that's all I'm trying to do. I just want people to look at me and be like, oh, I know what he does generally. And then you can kind of build from there and kind of create a more curated brand, I guess.
And that was the word I was looking for. And I wrote it down in my notes here. Brand equals identity. Just elaborating a little bit further, your ability to be identified goes hand in hand with the branding that is behind you. Like, for me personally, not everybody remembers Kendo from back in the day, but after the glasses became a thing, I literally became glasses guy everywhere that I went. And the ironic thing was, it wasn't even the true intention. I went from being meme caster to that guy with the rose-colored glasses, and then Stax took it a step further by putting me a side-by-side of me and Hammerstone. I forget the name of the brand of wrestling, but he's this jacked wrestler. He wore a pair of red glasses one time. It was kind of funny. Anyway, that's aside the point. So brand identity go hand in hand. It's why it's so important. Let's see here, multiple types of content creation, both inside and outside of the booth. What are some of your favorites?
Is that specifically for me, or
yeah, just specific?
Pyro?
I'm picking on you right now because Pyro Pyro was originally going to be here in the second half, so I'm appreciative of him being here, but I kind of want to drill you for information.
I think I actually came in while Palace and Fizzy, I think, were talking about thumbnails and for titling and why that can be kind of a precarious thing. And I'm of the same mindset that they came in on, is that I don't like to be disingenuous. I don't like to create content I don't believe in just because it's a trend. And so therefore, I found it really reassuring that I stream and my uploads are usually just regarding kind of like stream highlights that I've had and that my community found funny or interesting or had a cool clip or something. And for people who aren't in creation, who aren't playing at like, I don't know, a Grand Champ 3 SSL level or something like that, you don't need that. And that's one of the things I love about content, is that you can create stuff through shorts that are just skits. You can cover news. You can have a hot take on different RLCS events or CRL things that are going on, or just generally the esports drama. I know I've seen creators do like drama stuff about, like, you know, they were in someone's stream and then they saw like two pros arguing and they just like make a whole thing about that. And half of it's like satirical, like, oh my God, what could this mean? And half of it is just kind of digging at anything that you can pop up. And I think that stuff can be interesting. But then even beyond that, I also recognize that content creation is not really for everyone. I don't think a lot of people enjoy editing. I don't think a lot of people enjoy having to be, I don't know, like an on-air personality, it feels like, on a stream. And so that's why I've also think that Twitter has evolved into a really interesting medium in which you can write out just short blurbs about, hey, it's crazy that this happened. Hey, it's crazy that that happened. Hey, look, this crazy goal that I saw, and this is made because this person went for this bump, or this person, blah, blah, and just kind of make it into a chance to show analysis, be able to show off interesting things. And you can just always have your voice be heard. I'm not just saying just spam the timeline with something so your face is constantly being shown, but it's interesting to see that like content really is, it's been used in a vague sense. And I think it's because you really can make it out of whatever. If you want to be a Twitter main, you can 100% do that. The only reason we know the name Fisher is because he just tweeted a lot and eventually became friends with a lot of pro players and like high level staffers within esports. And so like, that's just the type of content you have to create. And so I think whenever I say casters should create content, everyone's like, I don't want to edit for YouTube or YouTube Shorts or TikTok. And I'm like, that's the thing though. You don't have to necessarily do that to become well known.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's multiple avenues. I've always loved the fact that you've been able to combine multiple of those avenues. I actually have a perfect example of this, and it's still to this day one of my favorite articles of content that you have ever done. I guarantee you know what it's going to be the moment you see the first 2 seconds of it. So let's see. I'm going to pull this up. Got this. Was. And here we go.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. What is going on?
It's a weird sound.
And a dryer sheet might have gone in the beginning of this process, but only.
Is that actually on the video?
The what? I don't know. Maybe the video just glitched. I mean, it comes in perfectly clear on my.
Might have gone in the beginning of this process, but only regret they come out at the end.
We have witnessed quite a lot here in this downtown Chicago afternoon commute. We have seen some honked horns, some missed turn signals, even SoundCloud rappers blasting their mixtape for all to hear. But we have yet to see anything truly reckless. And as I say that, here comes the BMW 5 Series slaloming through gridlock traffic with the confidence of an Olympian skier. Oh. That is a brutal miscalculation right into the back of the Ford Explorer. That is not going to come out easily, but I suppose on the BMW side, if you pay that insane amount for a car, your insurance is there to boot, and you might as well drive like a maniac.
Peanut butter on unsalted rice cakes? It might be filling, but the satisfaction is lacking. I mean, when is the last time that you've seen a pantry with this much potential fail to show up come mealtime? A really long time.
Fantastic. That was made during a very, very, very long stint between gigs, and I just needed to do literally anything. I had that idea, and I'm like, let's just roll with that for about now.
I'm not sure why I'm not sure why my link to that has gotten to the point where it's bugged out of its mind. I know it's not that long, and the audio was never like that. Go figure. We'll blame it on Twitter. But anyway, no, that's always been one of my favorite little things of content that you've made, and it's really, it was a combination of just about everything that you did at that time. There was the fact that it was commentary just right off the bat. It was a cry for needing work during times where everybody else is just crying about it. You made an actual video on it, skit style, incredibly funny and well produced. So compliments on that. But what goes through your mind when you're thinking about how to construct and create content like what we just saw? Because one, it's excellent, but
It's also just thinking about I think creating any content is, in my mind, I mean, my mind goes to streaming, but this applies to pretty much everything else, is that people are saying like, well, I don't like to stream, let's say Rocket League, or I don't like to create certain things about XYZ because I'm not really that good at it. I'm like, well, that's a thing. It's like about creating content, specifically in the concept of streaming. There's 3 types of streamers that succeed in my mind. They're good at a game, they are entertaining, and they're both. And if you're not one of those things, then it doesn't really work out. And the good thing is that entertaining is highly subjective, and to a certain extent, good at the game is also highly subjective. But with that, it's like, okay, well, if you're good at commentary and you're like base level competent at like being able to throw something into an editing program and go from there, then it's kind of just like thinking about implementations of what you can add in. And so for me, I'm like, well, I could probably improv something off the top of my head and just film, takes until I like what I say. And I think it'd be kind of goofy just to be like, okay, what can you commentate? And I'm like, all right, well, what would be weird to commentate? It's like just everyday things. I just had this random idea of like, I think I was talking to Bass in the past about this. I was just saying like, yeah, I'm getting so cooped up in my house because him and myself at that time, we both had like several gigs that we were contacted about, and then we got canceled, and then they got reached out again, and then canceled again, and then a different gig would come, and then it'd get rescheduled, and then it get canceled again. And we were just like, I'm gonna get so cooped up, I'm gonna start just like talking in my commentary voice just to remind myself what it sounds like. And then the idea of like, well, what if someone was just so stir crazy that they started doing that and filming themselves? And so that kind of creates it. And then from there, you just got to run with creative freedom. Rome, IGL, is actually another commentator who recently put out a video about the Olympics thing, about how their sports is like all like Just Dance and Gran Turismo and all these like pay to win mobile games that it's like a quick little video. He DM'd me about it. He's like, hey, I like that you do these things, so I want you to get your review on it. And it was really funny. It was literally just like him recording 3 different POVs of him as if it's a Zoom call. It's the Olympic planning meeting. And it was funny. You put out a script, bang it out, and then honestly, if you do it efficiently enough, the more you do it, I think you just get to be hyper efficient, and you can bang it out in like maybe like an hour or something like that. So at least for what goes through my head, it's just like use what you know well, and then just try to find a way to put a twist on it and add something that people aren't expecting.
Don't be afraid to gather ideas from conversations with others. That was another thing I gathered from your answer. That's awesome. I didn't realize that so much went into that video, so it was a lot of fun to hear the background on it. Does anybody have any questions? Pissy Palace, want to open the floor for y'all as we go throughout. I'll probably tap a couple times. We just literally had, I think, 15 minutes of straight information and back.
I'll take a stab. Yeah. I'll take a stab.
Pyro, go for it.
So you mentioned like creative freedom, right, Taco? It's like, okay, we had an idea. You know what? Let's just go for it. Are there points in time where you say, okay, no, let's not do that idea? Because truly, content can be whatever you make it. So where does that filter hit you to say, I'm not going to pursue this one?
It's more or less when I think the payoff is just not going to be good, or if it's, I do sometimes worry about things being too niche, and that there's like an interest that I have, and I'm like, oh, that'd be funny. I think this reference would bang. And then as I'm making it, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know if this is really a hit, because sometimes that does happen. You tweet something out, and then like some people are like, oh my God, that's so well done. And then other people are just like, all right, you see a lot of views on the tweet, but then, or impressions, but there's just not really anyone reacting to it. And you're like, okay, well, clearly that means that I'm not hitting a thread. And so you got to dial it in. I think sometimes you just got to really refine that, but other time is when it's just going to take too long. Like there's definitely ideas that Kendo was actually involved in the first iteration of something that I did before Sunless made it popular. But basically hire a bunch of commentators, get them to play a 3v3 and commentate what they're saying, and then cut between what they're like. Basically, they're all commentating the game as if they're watching it, but they also have to play. And it was interesting because you could see like the buffer time in some commentary where they're saying what they're saying, and then they have to focus on something and they kind of delay something and then their mind catches back up. But it was interesting to see the process, and it created like a lot of goofiness, but that just took so long to edit. So it was like one of those things where it's like, yeah, that would be fun to edit, but other times it's like, you know, you're looking at your schedule. I mean, I'm doing grad school. I'm doing pretty much full-time casting at this point, and I'm just like, I just can't dedicate like a week of my life to edit this stuff just for basically what would amount to like a shit post on Twitter.
All right, I guess sorry.
No, you're good. You go.
Okay. I guess if I had a question, it would be, especially because sometimes with Rocket League, it can feel, I guess, somewhat limited on what we can do in terms of content. So I guess my question is like, how do you find like a new spin on things? Or I guess, is it more just like, especially for you as a caster, I feel like that helps. I'm trying to figure out how to word this, but like, do you kind of get what I'm saying? It's like you have like the angles that like are personal to you and that help a lot, but it's like how for those of who like may not have that angle yet, I guess how would you go about finding like a new thing that again isn't like I don't know. I'm sorry, I worded that question horribly.
I think what you're gathering is like I have an angle as a commentator, and people know me, I guess, as a commentator. So when I create content, it's geared around that. What you're saying is like, how would you do that if you didn't have that platform already?
Yeah, I think so. Just like finding new angles to content when like we don't. Yeah, basically what you said. Sorry.
I'm just taking advantage of things. Like, I mean, there's just thoughts of like, oftentimes hot takes are a great way to do this. My buddy M-Dog, he just put out a video that is way too involved. So if you don't have that skill set, it's fine. But he has a machine learning algorithm with Rocket League stats and ball chasing replays where he was able to basically break down. T-Bates had a hot take where he's like, I think Gen.G actually has a very NA play style. They don't play like Europe. And Noli was on First Touch saying, that's insane. We definitely play like a European team. And M-Dog was like, you know what? I'm just going to break it down. And he threw a bunch of replays into his algorithm. And it turns out, yeah, they actually do play more like an EU team. And then he broke down what that even means. And it was really interesting, kind of like insightful, quick little 10-minute video. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. But the reason I bring that up is because like sometimes there are moments where like I just created a 2-minute video where it was just kind of like this. I've heard a lot of people say, well, Gen.G's so good. It's almost like they're the new Dignitas, like of old, the team that was just untouchable for a while. And I was like, are they even better than that team? So I just downloaded some stats, and then in the space of like 45 minutes, I was able to basically churn out the entire script and data for basically showing like what the average goals per game are, how many games they're winning, what's their win percentage, how many times they're sweeping a series, and just kind of creating like a stats breakdown. And so sometimes when you just hear a take on Twitter or someone say something on a stream and there's a debate around it, weighing in on debate is huge, and being able to capture it on a hot button topic and strike when the iron is hot is like half the battle, particularly with Twitter content, but also with like, you know, shorts and just like topical videos. Like you can see YouTubers hop on that immediately whenever there's like, you know, the bot thing that was going on. People made videos about that immediately because that was such an interesting idea that we thought for a while this esport was untouchable by cheating, and now suddenly it's just going everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Another,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I want to add one extra thing to that, and this isn't dating, like this dates me as far as the adage goes, but if you build it, they will come. Like you have to start by creating what you're confident in, the content that you're confident in. Like if you feel like you're really good at a certain something, do that. And the fact is, over time, it may take a little while, but people are going to see the passion. They're going to see the joy that you take in what you are creating, and they're going to identify with that. They're going to get behind that, and that's how you end up building a fan base. You build yourself a brand.
All right, are we all good?
Yep, go ahead, Vizzy.
All right. So here's my question. So I would love to stream some Rocket League. I'm not amazing at the game. I'm competent, but not terribly amazing. But there's one other issue that I have is that my buddies who I would play with, and it's just a hoot and holler. We have a grand old time, if you will. But the problem is the group that the little group chat that I'm in. There's a couple risky characters in there that I'm not comfortable with being able to freely join the call on stream because they're prone to doing something not the smartest, we'll say. Should, in that case, if I wanted to stream gameplay, should I would it be best to either go alone? Would it be best if I found kind of a workaround? Or would it honestly be in a better interest if I was to do gameplay sort of streams, if I were to just instead record it and make sort of a highlight montage? Which would you take to be the best? Because I just don't want to cause any issues in the group if I like separate myself and a couple others just for the sake of like streaming in Rocket League, because that's just polarizing.
I suppose the thing I come at this with is the highlight route is always what I go for, because I mean I don't know really what that means of saying not the smartest things, whether they're saying something problematic or if they're just kind of like they just kind of are wild cards. You not really know how to handle their energy. But either way, well, then that can be a little yike. But at the end of the day, if you have a good time with them and it's just kind of like a goofy assortment, then there's certainly times where that can be really helpful. There's a YouTuber called Frantic Cartoon and in the Rocket League scene that just does exactly that, and who just films and just records and plays even off stream, and then just kind of records the Discord and gameplay and just uploads basically like the weirdest comms that come through with like the weirdest moments that happen. Yeah, and like, it's funny, and that's why if not to plug myself, but like YouTube uploads that I have that involve gameplay are never straight cuts. They're never like the what I call the pro player cut, which is just like, hey guys, I'm I played this, and anyway, let's get into the video, and then it smash cuts to the gameplay, and then you see 7 minutes of uninterrupted no cuts gameplay, and then it slides over to game 2, and then they play game 2, and then they have a quick little, and that's it. So welcome out, and then they're done. You cannot do that as a regular person. No one will watch that unless you are literally editing the crap out of that with all these different memes and inserts. And so basically, I had a series where people are like, okay, well, you've been SSL or something, you're an analyst, like, and then I thought to myself, well, how much can like just my brain like take me in ranked? And so I did just a new account, play on KBM, see how far I can go, and I record it live on stream with viewers and commentary and whatever, and then I would chop it up into like 8-9 minute episodes. And people always are like, these flow really well, they're kind of fun they're fun to watch just because they keep my attention. It's not just you like talking for 7 minutes straight. It's like strict highlights, weird moments, funny reactions. And I think that's always that to me is much more engaging content than just trying to upload like raw footage and hope people enjoy it and have the wherewithal to stick around, because 99% of them will not want to just be able to buy in immediately.
Right. Okay. Yeah, no, that definitely helps. Just saying, I don't feel like dividing the group just because that can be a fickle subject, but that's yeah, no, I appreciate the insight there.
Also gives you creative impulse of saying like, if they did go off on a tangent or say something weird, you can just be like, let's just clip that real quick, and then just like clip that out real quick, like snip snip, and then you're done, and then you can move on without having to
like
around a weird moment.
I have full control instead of Bucko over here joined the call, said something stupid and left, and now Twitch is getting mad at me. So
no, yeah, because that happens with me a lot as well. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Right. So it's like I love the guys that I play with, but for the sake of not causing any issues or causing any sort of drama, I can't split the group in any way. So GG.
Pyro, did you have an answer for that one? Because I feel like you might be able to bring a different perspective on it.
Honestly, when I heard Taka bring up Frantic Cartoon, like that was the best piece of feedback he could have given. Like, yeah, he's exactly the creator that nails that space. He makes a YouTube short that's maybe like 30 seconds long that has 4 small clips or even 6 that are like 6 seconds long each that are just hilarious. So yeah, you pull the funny moments, and See if it works.
Right. Cool.
Definitely do be careful about some content,
Oh,
though.
of course.
Like you may have to be on the ball about deleting certain things, because if specifically things involving psionics, because
Oh,
Epic
that's
Games
interesting.
because Epic Games is a E for everyone company, there are times where people's content can come under scrutiny, etc. So don't be afraid to delete the VOD after you got your content out of it.
Gotcha. Okay. On YouTube, is it a little bit more of a free bird? Because, I mean, everyone in the group has a bit of language. It's not like crazy excessive that would get anything taken down. But do I have to be like crazy worried about censoring every little thing if it were to go into a highlight?
I would just keep a soundbite, like just there's a website called My Instance that I always really like for meme sound effects. You can search like pretty much anything, and just it'll come up with like a nice MP3 you can download. I just have a couple bleeps or random like loud noises that I use, just bleep out stuff, just because it's safer to do that. On top of the fact that sometimes, I know at least back in the day with YouTube, they would actually, if your audio gets caught with a swear word within the first X seconds or minutes of long form video, or shorts and long form respectively, it tries to kind of de-emphasize it in the algorithm.
Yeah, okay. I just looked at My Instance. I'm reading some of these and I already love it. Thank you. I'm pinning that.
Wait, what's the website called?
My Instance.
Great website, one of my favorites. It's a MYINSTANTS. It's basically, if you need any meme sound, that is where you find it.
Awesome, thank you.
Or
this is what I've been looking for 3 years.
oh, I know.
Dude,
I stumbled upon it randomly because I just needed a hyper specific noise, and I kept Googling it, and then that website kept coming up as like one of those random results that kept popping. I'm like, all right, let's give this a shot. And then I'm like, I will never live without this. This is the content creator's dream.
This is unreal. Thank you for bringing this to our attention.
Gotta have my sound effects.
This is why we do this right here, because I'm even learning something new. That's a website I didn't know about.
Y'all have no idea the feeling of like fulfillment that I have right now, because I've been looking for this for years. And every sound effect I've ever looked for, I've seen in the first 5 seconds.
Right? It's right in front of your eyes. This is amazing.
Bonus points if it has The Rock quotes from back in the early 2000s Attitude Era.
Oh boy.
I mean, there's the one I love where it's just like, shut up, bitch, and then the whole crowd goes, ah!
Oh no, it's exactly what I'm talking about. Some of those are priceless. One of the things that you brought up, Taco, was your schedule. And a question that I was kind of saving towards the cooldown time was, is there such a thing as bad content or too much content, in your opinion?
In what sense? Because I have two perspectives on that. Because when I hear too much, I think of people like one of my homies, GC in Disguise on Twitter, who posts a lot. They joke. Well, she's the sub for the Endpoint Women's like a WCB team, and because she's a sub, I guess she has more time because she doesn't scrim as often, and she just tweets out constantly, and they're funny memes, but like some people get really irritated by just the sheer number about it, and so that can be a lot. And talking to her, she's like, yeah, it takes a lot of effort to put in that many posts, but eventually, a decent amount of them latch on. I get a decent amount of followers, and I go from that. I'm like, all right, well, that's good to know. But in order to do that, you do have to sacrifice a lot of time. And at least for me, I'm in my graduate program for psych. I'm going for my PhD. So there's a lot of time I have to dedicate to teaching. I have to dedicate to research. And I think the thing with content, especially with long form content, is it's obscenely time consuming. You have to really know your outline. You have to get your edits down. You have to get your footage. You have to then piece it all together in an engaging way. And then after that, you have to think of, okay, what's a good title for this? What's a good thumbnail? Oh, wow, wait, I have to design the thumbnail too. So the project's not even done yet. And it's just like over and over and over and over. You just got to keep doing this cycle. And I think there's definitely time where If you're not, it's not necessarily that you're not seeing a payback. I think long form, and even to a certain extent, short term content, short form is very much like an investment. You're not going to see a video bang immediately. That's just not how it is. But eventually it will. And with every video, you learn something better, whether that's comfort with editing, whether that's what titles work, what doesn't. For me, with, for example, shorts on Wednesday through Sunday do way better than Monday and Tuesday, just because there's less people on. So it's like certain times of like, when do you want to upload and whatever. It's just like everything teaches you over time. So I would say in terms of too much content, I would say you can definitely hammer a point way too much. I think people tend to get disengaged if you go on the same topic over and over and over again, which is why you need to stay fresh or always add a new angle. But in terms of like how much you really want to churn out, it's really as much as your schedule can handle. I personally found good growth with daily uploads to like shorts, but shorts are pretty easy to generate for me because I stream pretty frequently. It's like my third income, I guess, outside of graduate stuff and casting. And so I have a nice content pipeline. And if you don't, then I would say at the very least, set goals that are self-achievable and are within your control. So like try to upload, let's say once a week or something like that, and just try to keep yourself to that schedule to at least get yourself into a rhythm. Because that's, I think, the hardest part for a lot of people is not necessarily making stuff, is that making sure you're doing it on a schedule. So you're not blipping something into existence and then saying, all right, I'm out. I'll see you in 6 months.
Question for you.
Follow up, but I can do that after the question. Go ahead, Fizzy.
Okay, this might be a slightly longer question, but how do you, just considering all the stuff you do between your streaming, your graduate work, content creation, and otherwise, how do you avoid burnout?
I don't. That's just how it is. The thing is, you always have to balance something out, and it's kind of like the meme of like the triangle. You can only choose two, where inevitably something has to take a hit. Like on weeks where I'm like sitting at my YouTube and being like, well, I have 2 weeks of shorts scheduled out. Nope. That's looking all good. And then I'm like, all right, well, I got to get a long form video out, let's say this week. So I churn that one out. Then I start getting emails from my advisor being like, hey, where are we at that draft? And, oh, right. Gotta churn that one out. And then you realize you're a little bit behind. You haven't really touched that as much. And you can get everything in together, but eventually it's almost like, we go from the triangle to then the square. One of them is sleep. You can only choose three. And it's like, and it's so hard to be able to fit everything in. So I would say the burnout, I wouldn't say is inevitable, but you really have to be careful about protecting your time, understanding that it's like, if you want to grind this out at like a really high rate, then there's going to take a toll. And if you don't want to do that, then you need to find that happy medium. I don't think daily uploads are a thing that you need to do. I don't think weekly uploads are long form or something you need to do either. I don't think you need to make 15 tweets a week or something like that. But the burnout is more so just because you're trying to do everything, and eventually you got to take priority on some stuff. For me, graduate school is always number one. I have to prioritize that, because if not, then I get in really like deep doo-doo with people. Whereas content is something that this will come naturally, but I try to use, my current process is try to use it in bursts. I will stream occasionally just because it's casual, it's passive. I just, sit there and people come to me. But then I make sure to record an OBS. So I have a VOD. I can go to Twitch Highlighter Later, which is the video producer, which whenever someone clips something on your stream, or when you put a marker down, you can tell where it is. Then I just go to that point in my recording, I clip it in high res, and then edit shorts together, and I'll try to do that all in one burst. And once you have a pipeline down, I can churn out like a week's worth of shorts in maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And I'll do that after stream. So I'll try to keep everything very, very streamlined, so I can get things done in just a little quick burst, and then I can go back to whatever I need to do.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Pyro?
Oh, yeah. Actually, I'll follow up on both that last one very briefly, because that's really good advice. I'll add to it and say like daily routines are massive for me. I'm different from Taco's perspective because he's also a student. So on top of streaming and casting, I have no idea how he does it. So that's a real answer, Taco. Thanks for that. For me, I stream, and then like during the day, and then during the night, I either have a casting gig or I, create more content. But between those two things, I always bike to the gym, work out, bike back home. And like, if I know I have that time to myself, like that time to not take care of any responsibilities, just like time for me and my health and my wellness, like that's huge. That's huge. I think daily routines, whether it's like a morning routine when you wake up, hydrate, go outside, take a walk, or if it's like a midday routine, I think those are very underrated. However, Kendo, I did want to answer your question because you asked Taco, is there such thing as bad content or too much content? Taco hit on the too much, so I want to hit on the bad. And I mean, this is just my opinion, of course, but so I'll preface it with that. But I did write down a few things in my notebook about this exactly. So I'll mention two things. Number one, creating your content should energize you. Like your content should be an expression of your personality, which should like have you kind of just like in your groove, right? Like you're putting yourself right in your element. You are feeling energized by what you produce. If it's more of a chore, then you're just not doing it right. There's got to be some pivot. Or like Taco said, for some people, content's just not for you. There are other still forms like Twitter or other things that you could do. But I would more so encourage like, hey, maybe there's a pivot needed. Maybe you need to find that passion. The second thing is that like your content should have intention. I think if your content lacks intention, and I'll speak directly to the casting community, like if you had a cast and you really liked a clip and you're like, oh, I'm just going to throw that on Twitter because this is a good casting clip. I'm just going to throw this up and say, hey, I just casted this. Here it is, and put it up. That's good. Like your head's in the right space. But what I mean by the post lacking intention is you have to think to yourself, what do I want my audience to get out of this post? Like, what do I want them to take away? And if it's just like, I am a caster or I am a good caster, you may need to think past that and say like, oh no, I bring this part of my brand to this piece. Like, oh, I was funny, and so I'm going to highlight that this was really humorous. Or, oh, I can be very dramatic, and this is how I made this moment very dramatic. Like Taco, even throw out your post today about the hilarious like fake out whatever thing. Like that was, oh, I can make something dramatic. Slash that was just kind of humor. So yeah, those were the 2 points. I think if content lacks intention or it doesn't energize you, then it is bad content.
Speaking of, actually, you mentioned intentionality. Putting a twist on things, I just put it in the casting workshop chat. A tweet I had a while back. I casted with Bass while we were doing, I think this was CRL qualifiers. And basically, it was just me freaking out after Bass was commentating something. I was just providing like dumb feedback, like dumb like reactions in the background, but I thought it was funny, and people in chat were remarking it was funny. They thought it was funny, so I decided to put it into an edit, which is literally just me putting text over it. But if you just watch that clip, that's like an example of like you take a clip, which is like you could just upload that straight up, but I'm like, it's much funnier if I just highlight something weird or just something odd about it. And it really is as simple as like sometimes just putting in a PNG and just being like, this is a, you mentioned something about, it's like silky smooth, like syrup poured over pancakes, just putting in like a bottle of pancakes, just like adding something to it so the viewer is getting something out of your tweet rather than just being able to read your description and say, okay, I guess it was a cool call.
Or if it's a Valleyfield loss at the end of the season, syrup poured over Seb's head.
Oh, big sad.
Never mind.
Studio audience.
Yeah, this is why the bad content. I'm glad y'all are covering it because all of my content is bad content. Never mind.
Studio audience.
Okay, let's see here. So I want to go back really quick because you had alluded a little bit to your process, but if content doesn't hit, what is your process on making it better, improving it for the next time?
I mean, I'm still learning that myself. For a while, I streamed for a while I did it the quote unquote wrong way, which is you stream and then you don't do anything else. So and part of that was just because I talked myself into saying like, I just can't do anything else, which to a certain extent, you could argue like, well, if you don't think you put in a good amount, then yeah, you can't do anything else. But ultimately the way you should be doing content is creating some peripheral source of passive content that people can access when you're not live. Because when you're not live, people have no idea what you're doing. But if you upload to YouTube Shorts, if you have Instagram Reels, if you have TikToks, whatever, people can still find you and then kind of slowly dribble into your stream. And I think the thing for me is that whenever I am trying to kind of continue up content or try to make sure that I'm adapting things is that when I did finally commit to this, it started to realize that not every idea is going to work, and that's fine. That's not going to really affect anything. And half of it is just learning what does and what doesn't. I mean, there's plenty of posts. There's a joke among a lot of TikTokers is that you'll spend 3 hours editing a post, making it like the most memey, like hilarious thing ever, and it'll do average or maybe even below average. And then you'll just upload something stupid, like a legitimate, like to the book definition of like a shit post, and it'll do numbers, and you're like, how? Like, it's just because you can't predict it. You just got to throw stuff at, and eventually you get better and better at predicting it. But in terms of like, I don't know, missing the mark, like trying to upload something you really believed in and it doesn't quite hit, there's a lot of factors that go into it, but you just got to keep iterating on that and taking the good comments with the bad and figuring out what you're doing wrong. And I think through that process, it's actually been really fun to start doing content when you start to tap in on, okay, I'm finally understanding what people tend to like about what I'm doing.
I'm curious, Pyro, do you have an opinion or something on that one? What if it doesn't hit? This is actually a personal question from me, because again, a lot of the time my content, well, it's cringe. The exclamation point cringe that has been since deleted since I was removed from the team in the CC in the college garball chat. Was there because of me back in the day. And a few other people, but
I gotta
gotta
say this.
know.
I mean, what hit the most from Taco is what he said. I'm still figuring that out, because like there's like algorithm analysts in YouTube and even the Twitter space of like, oh, did you post the right time? Oh, did you have the right thumbnail? Oh, did you make this? Did you shout out your Twitch from your YouTube and your YouTube from your Twitch and have everything posted on Twitter? It's like, there's so many things that maybe you're just not doing for it to not hit, other than the actual content that you produced. So it's a true enigma. But what I hear, the advice told so much to me, so I'll just share it here, because again, I'm still learning, is you just have to keep creating, because you will get better and better. You may not notice it day by day, week by week, but when you look back 6 months before and you're like, oh, that's how I was editing videos. Yeah, okay, I've improved drastically from there. And you'll fit what people are looking for eventually.
Love it. Okay, it is 14 more minutes that we have, Taco. I want to ask one last question, then we'll open it up to questions for the very end. But I also want to make sure we've heard how busy this man is. So at 8 o'clock Central or 9 o'clock Eastern, Taco, I'm kicking you out of the call whether you like it or not.
That's fair.
But my last question, and this one's just more fun. What has been your favorite moment of content, whether in the booth or out of the booth? You can do both if you'd like.
Favorite moment of content. I think just kind of seeing that people respond to your energies. I think there's a lot of weirdness in that when you commentate. One thing I used to be really anxious about is I think I've actually subconsciously pitched my voice sometimes to avoid this, but I'm from upstate New York. It's a very nasally accent, and I always hated how it sounded back in the day. I always hated listening to my voice, and one thing that content creation and casting teaches you is that you're going to listen to yourself a lot, and it kind of like makes you numb to how your voice sounds. But then beyond that, like it was just interesting, like within content creation, where like I posted this video where it was more or less a short where like I went for a double tap, I hit it off the crossbar, and then the guy on defense came back and then accidentally own goaled it. And I'm like, it's technically a double tap. And I just started laughing. And a lot of the comments weren't even about the clip. They were just like, I love your energy. Like you're just like you seem like a fun guy. It seems like da-da-da. And it's like, that's kind of like what I'm trying to portray. Like I'm trying to like show off a weird moment, but I want people to be able to look at that clip and say like, oh, this guy has like he looks entertaining. He looks like he's lighthearted. He looks like he's someone, I want to see. And I think the same with casting, in that it's my favorite comments aren't like, wow, this commentator's insane. Like, wow, what a call by him. It's really just like, man, this commentator seems to know what he's talking about. Hey, that commentator really seems to be you know, really passionate about this one thing, or he's really drilling into this one topic. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm glad you're noticing like just my passion for what I'm doing. And it's just nice to see that reflection. Which feels like kind of a cop-out answer, but I feel like in casting that's normally in one of my favorite calls of all time was a 0-second goal. It was on the Rocket League channel because we filled in for A Stream one time. And I thought I nailed it, but I love the build up. And I remember looking back to the VOD and a lot of the comments were just like, where's this guy get these lines? That's so like, that's so weird. Like, why would he phrase it like that? It's like, that's such a funny way to put it. Like, I love that nickname he gave that player. And it's just like, it's fun to see like your efforts get rewarded. Just got to trust the process. Because once upon a time, I would have thought that line up in the moment and been like, that's stupid. Now let's go with something more basic. Now just reach out, give yourself freedom to be a little weird and to kind of show off your real personality. And I think people will like what they see.
10 more minutes. Ask your questions. Any dying questions for the DangerTaco? The waning moments of the hour. We don't have any questions?
Where's your questions for Taco?
You know what?
Kendo, jeez.
Okay. Well, I'm actually surprised nobody has asked this. I already know the answer, of course. What's up with the profile picture?
What?
My old one?
The one that is current right now in the chat.
Oh, that's just that. Oh. Oh my god, I forgot that's my profile on this server.
The Discord Nitro at work.
Yeah, that is. Oh my god! Wow. Yeah, I completely blanked on that.
I'm making content. I'm making content
Yeah, I was
right
like, that's
now.
literally just a photo of me. No,
like,
there
this
was.
is
I was about to say.
Back when AI really started taking off, I remember there's like the AI, you could just type in a prompt and it would like generate pictures. I think one time Bass and I, when we cast, he's like, oh, this is like our duo is Fish Taco. Like that's what you call us. It's Bass and DangerTaco. And so we were like, all right, what does it look like when you have like a fish taco? And we searched in, and that was one of the really cursed depictions, which is like this like morphed kind of like awkward looking fish face, but made out of a taco. And it made me laugh so hard that I'm just like, I have to have it. And I debated putting it more places, but I'm like, you know what? Society doesn't need to see this. As long as I know where it's from, I will get infinite enjoyment out of it. But it's definitely a very janky aspect of my server profile. Certainly does not help my brand. Speaking of all those things we were talking about earlier, my brand. No one in this Discord server has any idea that's me.
See, for a second, I thought Kendo was trying to take a new content approach and starting beef.
No,
I mean, yeah.
I mean, I already tried starting beef earlier on Twitter. That didn't work very well.
Bro called me stupid because he assumed I didn't know what a kilometer was.
Pretty much.
I would love to see Kendo try and start beef because that's just like I couldn't imagine him beefing with anybody.
I'm legitimately too kind.
Unless you're someone in chat.
Unless you are.
Kendo with his favorite meme to put in production chat of him beating the crap out of some dude in chat who called him low energy. Kendo's like, are you?
No,
actually
he asked
kidding?
if
Are you
I was
watching
high.
The show?
Dude asked if I was high. Okay, now I have to actually post this. I'm not gonna show it on the recap and the stream here, but it is still to this day one of my favorite pictures. And Helmsies are one of our major content folks. I believe the proper position is he is a social intern for CCA or for EFUS, excuse me.
Yeah, he used to manage the RLCS Twitter.
Oh, come on. I know
Or it was too much work. He didn't want to do it anymore.
I'll be honest, Kendo, I can't hear you right now.
Oh no! Well, I
see you moving your lips.
I'm
Okay,
more
now you're back.
I'm more muttering than anything else because I'm extremely mad at myself. I normally have this thing on a shoestring, and it's ready to go for everybody. Okay, there we are. Normally, I'm able to pull up memes very quickly. That's my characteristic. There we go. Somebody literally was like, bro on the far right looks high. And that was my answer after a break.
Hella.
Holy.
I
Of course, it was.
absolutely destroyed that person.
I feel like I've seen that username before, and I feel like I've never seen it not talking crap.
Some
Just by
people
the
just
name
exist to
alone.
be
Yeah.
negative, which is just like
Yeah.
the saddest existence I can imagine.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
That is incredible.
That's
Usually
amazing.
Usually that comes back up anytime somebody thinks, oh, I probably shouldn't have typed that in chat. It's okay. I got you.
It happens,
Oh.
dog.
Wait, I do have a question for Taco before he leaves.
All right.
When is the Twitter analysis thread,
Oh my
that
god, bro.
coming back? Because I swear to you, I'm just saying it. I was an early investor. Okay, the first analysis thread that came out, I retweeted that at like 5 likes. I was like, this is a banger. I better see more of it. When's it coming back?
I honestly, if I have been trying to find a way to pivot it to like a video form. I want people to be able to I want to direct that traffic away, mainly because if you guys had not seen that, it basically, a lot of people have been like, want more analytical content. And so I'm like, well, I think it'd be kind of fun one day to be like a game that was really confusing. For example, way back when, I think it was Regional 1, Dignitas, the brand new Dignitas team beat Furia. And everyone was like, what? And I was like, well, this would be kind of fun if I just took the replays from the game, recorded the goals, and then just kind of walked everyone through why these goals happened. And I did a whole thread. I think it was like 30 tweets or something like that.
Wow.
And I had like an attached video with each of it. And I would just kind of break down like, in game 1-1, this is goal number 1. This happens because Drees gets this touch and then immediately goes for the bump. But most importantly, he doesn't leave immediately. He just stays to kind of create pressure because at the time Delta was already the way back. He's just trying to hold up space for his teammate to come in. He comes in, shoots it over the top around Jan, 1-0 or something like that. And I did that, and it got great views. I got like 150 follows just off that alone because people really liked that. I think partly is because Jorby liked it and he retweeted it. But the thing is that content, for some reason, uploading that many videos in a thread, your Chrome will eat your entire laptop alive. Like it got to the point where like when I was doing those threads, it would upload them, and then as I tried to send them, it would just like crash my Chrome at times and I'd have to restart, or I would start uploading it and it'd get so lagged behind that I would actually get to a point where I was typing out the part 25 or whatever of the tweet. Sorry for the siren. Part 25 of the tweet. And then it would be like one of those things where you type like 10 characters and then after 7 full seconds, they start actually typing. Like it was just lagging Chrome so hard to upload that much stuff. So eventually I just stopped because I was like, I just can't be bothered to do this for 2 hours and then have my PC crash and then I have to start all over. And then I'm just like, I don't feel like doing this anymore. Like it was real depressive mode. So I would love to bring them back, but gotta time them. I think they were always best when they came out of nowhere. People kind of liked them. I tried to do it weekly and I think they still did good numbers, but after a while it was like the numbers I'm getting from this are not worth all the headaches that I'm also having to deal with.
Fair. Cool. Thanks.
Rock on.
I have one more thing. This isn't really so much of a question as more of a comment. I appreciate you being like really honest about, like, as someone who's also a grad student who was like starting in like the casting, and I used to create content in undergrad, and then I saw a tweet from you. I think it was around April or May. It was like right before I graduated, where you were talking about I think it was people ask you like, oh, you're a grad student and like a full-time caster and like
Oh no, the burnout tweet. That was the burnout tweet.
Yeah, it was that one. And you were like, how I can't I also stutter, so this might take me a while to say. But it was basically, how do you like cope with it? And the answer was like, you don't. And I really appreciate the honesty from you and just like talking about that as well earlier tonight. So that gave me a good that perspective before I started grad school. And Now I see what you mean by that. So I appreciate your honesty on the subject.
Well, I mean, I say that to, I guess, to bookend my segment here is the thing that I really want to emphasize with that post, especially as someone who is a fellow graduate student, or is that the things is that you can balance it all. It's just not all the time. Like you're gonna drop some stuff, you're gonna have stuff bouncing on your head and feel like you have like a lot of responsibilities. And there's some weeks where I'm like nailing it. I get all my responsibilities done. I teach and answer all my emails and get all my students figured out, and then also have my research done. I get my coding done. I get my shorts in. I get my streams in. I have good tweets, and I'm just like, you know what, this is just nailing it. But those are like probably like maybe a month out of the year combined where I'll like do that level of productivity. A lot of the other times it's like I have a lot of stuff to do, and it's like one of those days where, you know, you edit something and then you make some tweets and then you do some work and then you look at the clock and it's like 8 o'clock and you're just like, okay, well, the day's kind of already gone. I don't really have much else to do here or much else to be able to like fit in. And so it's like you can fit in everything, but the passionate people will shine through. I think there's a lot of people who just don't want to have to go through the work in general. And then I see a lot of people, casters, send me DMs or send me VODs and they ask me to review their content or ask me to review their casting. And the biggest issue is that whenever I talk to them about like, hey, I noticed all of these clips are from the same thing. They're like, yeah, I mean, I could go for extra broadcasts, but I just don't really want to dedicate that time. Or, oh yeah, I could go for, you know, X, Y, and Z different opportunities, but I just don't want to have to dedicate that. And I'm like, bro, that's just what it takes now. Like you will, even if you have the best cast anyone's ever heard of in your life on a broadcast, even if it's pretty big, if you only do one, that means absolutely nothing. It's about making sure you stay diligent and somewhat successful on it. And I think with casting, it's by getting your face on as many screens as possible without devaluing yourself too much. Because obviously I know the amount of unpaid gigs or very low paying gigs are out there, but I just forcing stuff out there, making connections, I think over time it builds into this nice network of people you have and the increased opportunities. And the same with content. Like the more you do that, the more you collaborate, the more you meet people. I think you can create a lot of nice support net structures on top of being able to learn how to cope with it better. Back in freshman or my first year of graduate school, I can't imagine dealing with this. I was crumbling under how much stuff I had to do. And now I feel like I'm very much treading water well. Like I can actually deal with everything without it just causing everything to fall out. So it's a lot of adjustment, but I believe that anyone given the right mindset and as Pyro mentioned, with a good schedule and maintaining that, anyone can do it.
I really do appreciate you, and I want to really open the door so you can leave.
No, it's crazy.
I
Bro.
don't.
He just gave this profound speech, and he's like, "All right, cool, get out."
I realize that, but I also understand how important the time is. So, any last words? Or I show you the door, and I appreciate the fact that you were here, and the information is priceless. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And for all you guys that are here, taking advantage of Kendo, and also if you guys are in Vaudible's Discord, I would recommend, if not, great place to find mentorship. And I think the only reason I am the caster I am is because Kendo was very early on a mentor who invested. So I really appreciate all the feedback he's given, and hopefully you guys appreciate all the stuff he's doing to make these workshops possible.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Toodaloo. I'm going to go eat an ungodly amount of chili.
Heck yeah.
You know what?
Good, man.
Godspeed.
Thanks.
Peace, peace.
Peace. I sigh like a fangirl every time he leaves the room.
We forgot a picture. Did you get an autograph? Oh.
I know, right?
Yeah, no, don't worry, guys. The real show starts now.
I
Kendo?
know, right? Yeah. We'll go with that. So
Heck yeah.
My evil laugh.
we got PyroJ straight off a freaking LAN.
Let's go.
Tell us a little about the LAN experience. I know
sure.
you had Bass as a co-commentator. But also tell us about yourself and what you do.
Oh, sure. And first of all, since we're in the chat here talking with Fizzy and Palace, nice to meet you guys. I don't think I've crossed ways with y'all yet, so yeah. Yeah, yo indeed.
Ew.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, I'm PyroJ. You can call me Jake as well. I don't really mind. I am 26. I graduated college. I started working at Deloitte. Did that for 4 years in Washington, D.C. COVID hit in 2020 in my second to third year, and it became a remote job of continuous Zoom calls that I did not enjoy. So around the same time, I started to pick up casting. That was in April of 2020. I got my first paid casting gig in January of 2021, and I realized doing that, and while I was streaming all the time as well, could actually become something I can live off of. So I decided I don't want to live and regret not trying, so here we go. About a year ago now, I left my job at Deloitte, moved to Las Vegas, and I am now streaming and casting full-time. So that's a little bit about me. I did indeed go to my 4th ever LAN this past weekend. It was truly an incredible experience. It was at Boise State University, their esports arena, so in Boise, Idaho. We casted the West Regional qualifiers for pretty much a collegiate conference, so Collegiate Rocket League. But they also hosted Valorant and Overwatch. So I got to meet a bunch of the players that were competing in those titles as well. I am a profound Valorant enjoyer and also trying to kind of squeeze my way into that space eventually, because I just love the game, playing it, watching it, casting it. But yeah, that's Casting Rocket League with Bass, and we had a heck of a time. I have content that I've already put on Twitter that I'm going to share that is part of my tiny presentation today. So that's a little teaser for later.
Ooh, I do enjoy myself quite a few teasers.
Yeah, Kendo, would you like me to? Because I actually hit on some of your questions through this like 6-slide classic ex-consultant presentation.
Whoa! You're
do you
playing
mind?
this thing up. Okay, you know what? Give it to me now, I guess. Let's
Okay.
see this.
Fantastic. Let's see if this works. It does. It's reversed. Why is it reversed?
Why?
That's incredibly interesting.
It looks good for me.
I love the fact, though, one of my first questions right off the bat, why is content so stinking important? Well, you
so
have
you
the
can
floor.
read that?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, it's
Yeah, it
reversed
looks
on my
good
side,
for
but
us.
if you can read it, perfect. Okay, fantastic. Let's get into it. Guys, this is gonna presentations, I swear, can be the most boring thing. So I promise you, this will not be more than 5 minutes. Interject with questions if you'd like.
Woo, slideshow, let's go.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
oh my
I
God,
feel
oh my
I'm
God.
last,
Slideshow!
earlier today.
Okay. In my opinion, I'm just gonna get rid of me. Who cares? In my opinion, there are 4 reasons why creating content. Oh, and this is specifically as a caster. This is all catered to you as a caster. Why is content important? So, number 1, relevance. Okay, you being prominent, you having a presence in the community inspires trust and notability. You go from who is that when they see you on the screen to, oh, I've seen him before, which is already like a big step up from your maybe average layman caster. Oh, maybe they saw you on a YouTube short. Oh, maybe they saw you on a tweet that did, you know, a little bit of numbers. As long as that didn't create some form of negative reaction, that's a good thing. Relevance is important. Taco mentioned it. Getting on screen as much as you can. That kind of face and exposure is very good. Let's go to expertise and knowledge. You showing that you can't just cast the esport, but you can also build content around it, shows people that are potentially interested in hiring you as a caster or so on and so forth, shows that you're comfortable with the esport, shows that you're not on desk like, okay, let's see what I can do, but more so, okay, I'm about to do what I'm best at. Like that's like you're cooking and you're using some dough, but you can cook it and do a ton of different things, pizza or bread or I don't cook, so this makes no sense. This is also baking, not cooking. But like, if you can do multiple things with that content, it inspires expertise. And you go from your opinion attracting interest rather than indifference. So if you see me on desk, you may be more interested in what I have to say if you see me before and see me create content rather than just seeing me for the first time. I'll go through these last two. Oh, is there?
I was gonna say expertise is like the difference between a freezer pizza and a freshly made from scratch brick oven mold, toss the dough, the whole 9 pizza.
Yes. Thank you. That was what I was looking for, Kendo.
There you
go. On camera presence. So like, here's the thing. I stream on Twitch. That's great. But even recorded content can improve your on-camera presence. The more you get comfortable creating content with your face on the screen, the better the more comfortable, the more natural you're going to look. Shout out to Seb. I recently co-casted with him on the Axel streams, the team streams for RLCS. That dude just lives on cam. Like it looks like you're looking into him just like, you know, without a camera on him. He's just there. It's so natural, and I really appreciate that about him. But on top of that, look at the second bullet point. You learn how to inject your personality on camera. We're going to talk about personality a lot, but instead of just being a face on the screen, you get to be you. You get to be exactly what you bring to the screen. And the more you're on camera, the more you get experience being there, the better you'll be able to show off that personality. And then finally, just be streaming. Like, you have to be on the spot. You have to move on your feet. And I say this in the second bullet point, online, but especially on LAN, you have to be flexible. Oh, this graphic was supposed to be available, but now it's not. I was calling for the bracket, but it's not here. Okay, I'm going to pivot to the teams. We have roster graphics, right? All right, well, let's get to the roster. Or maybe we were supposed to go in game, but we're still on screen. Okay, let's vamp for a little bit. And okay, good things I have all these prepared storylines, because let's talk about this thing that's still so important. Wow, we need to use streaming, you creating content. It helps you be on your feet. And that's a very, I think, underrated asset as a caster, is being able to be flexible. Yeah. That any questions on why content is important?
Not a question, but just a comment. I like how you had your little bars up at the top.
Yes!
Follow my Twitter.
Yes! I saw it!
Wait. I have my what?
Could not believe my eyes.
It'll pop up in the top right.
Pyro.
Yeah. It'll pop up in the top right, and the just around the expertise.
Did my
and knowledge.
Twitter get plugged?
Yes.
Your Twitter and your YouTube.
So, folks,
And
if
the
you're watching
alerts
this,
are now off. Okay, my bad.
If y'all are watching this, folks, make sure you follow PyroJ on Twitter.
Honestly, because of that, I might follow.
Yeah,
Wait,
exactly.
that's hilarious.
I have to do that.
You know what?
Live
I'll do
on the
the same.
recording. It will live in infamy.
Purely unintentional. My apologies.
It just got you 2 new followers, so it worked.
Okay, well, road to 1,000 continues. What is good content? What is good content? Good content is something that promotes your brand. Here's the truth of this. I'm gonna get back on screen here. So, my big quote for the day is that content should follow brand, not vice versa. Like, the questions I state here is, what is your brand? When people hear Fizzy, when people hear Palace, when people hear Kendo, when people hear Pyro, what should they think? What should they expect? You got to nail that down, right? Because if you don't have an idea in your mind of what you want to place in other people's minds when they hear your name, of what to expect. Oh, I can't wait for this guy. He's so hilarious. Oh, I can't wait for this guy. I love his analysis, et cetera, et cetera. You shouldn't be creating content. Not that, but it's going to help you. People that I think do a really great job of this are Johnny Boy. I think that's very obvious, but it was actually mentioned by Sunless himself. He says, content creator casters have become huge for a game like Rocket League, where there's tons of quietly talented pros who you would never hear or care about otherwise. The fact that Johnny can pull 14,000 viewers streaming Rocket League on his own is insane. Of course, that's a crazy example, but it still goes to show of he found his niche. He knows his brand, and he created a platform based simply on that brand. And then we already saw the taco analysis thread, but The reason Taco can do that as well, that he has great analysis, I don't know who all knows this, but he's like he's an SSL player as well. Like he played collegiate. Like he knows like the personal the car and what they should do in that moment. Not all casters can do that. I'm grand champion. That doesn't mean crap to the pro players. His expertise does, and so because he can analyze so well, he's going to showcase that in his content. So that's what I mean by promoting your brand through your content. I hope that makes sense. Also, Zach, welcome.
Good to be here.
Yep. But two things that I think are different are brand and personality. So good content shows your personality. We talked a little bit about being better than or different than the average caster. And I also mentioned this early. Do you feel energized when you create your content? Because when I'm creating stupid YouTube shorts, when I'm creating dumb content on Twitter, which I'm about to show you, I'm smiling, I'm geeking, I'm laughing. Because I'm just having a really good time making this content because I'm showing me. I'm showing the funny side of me. I'm showing the silly side of me. I'm showing even the smart side of me that I'm excited to share with people. I'm getting giddy with my content. Hopefully your content shows your personality in a way that you really like. Now, I have links to my stuff, but Septilence made a piece that I thought it was hilarious from the land that we just did. Okay, that's the wrong link. Great.
Nice.
Yeah, this is the wrong link. Okay,
that's your game show link.
This is my game show link. Okay, well, let's just roll.
Oh no,
Real
Jar.
Yeah.
Anyone but Jar. No.
Shout out Jar, man. We teamed in IGL 3 years ago.
Wow.
Listen. So maybe this is a good example of the game show is because I feel like we're all casters, right? And we're talking about content. Mm-hmm. And Taco is really good for explaining content that kind of shows off you as a caster. Not all content has to be like that. And I think that's something I should talk about because I think I'm a good example of someone that kind of goes outside of the box as a creator, and it can still help you as a caster, right? Because when I'm hosting my game show, I show that, hey, I have skills as a host. Hey, I can work on my feet really well because there's a lot of chaos that goes on with a live game show. Hey, I can prep a lot of interesting talking points on a video game, which also could be interest of people. So I don't know, Kendo, what's your reaction to this kind of thing of creating content that isn't necessarily catered towards casting? Would you agree that it can still kind of help in that regard?
Well, one of the reasons I have you here is because I'm terrible at creating content. But I do agree. It very much is the driving force. You need to be able to have confidence in the content that you're putting out. That is one thing that I know for sure. So still to this day, I might be a quote unquote retired old fogey, but at the same time, I know what I bring to the table as a commentator, one. And then two, I know how to bring out the very best in myself. And also, I try to focus on bringing out the best in my teammates. To go back to Taco, throwing the supporting your co-commentators in cast. One of the things, if you ask me, one of the unsung skills, it's something that's not talked about enough, is exactly that. If you are able to establish a flow with your co-commentator, even one that you have never met before or commentated with in your life, you can actually, it values you higher as a commentator. It goes into your flexibility point, which I imagine we'll get into a little bit later.
Yeah, actually, let me just build off of it now. I have exactly a good point of when meshing with your caster can work out really well, and I thought it worked so well that I should create something out of it. So this is actually I don't think this was part of the Gompers cast that you saw, Kendo, but I don't know if you guys are even going to be able to hear this actually.
Let's find out.
Okay. Yep.
We can just sit in silence.
Yeah. Oh no! Oh no! The irony, pain.
Is it a TikTok? No, it's a YouTube short.
Yeah, you guys can't hear anything.
Let me see if I can get the link here.
Oh sure, yeah, I'll put it in the casting workshop chat.
Yeah, throw me the link really quick, and then
All right, link's yours.
rock on. I'll see if I can pop it up.
Cool.
Mine should be ready for.
Close for them, and there's still the chance. There's still right person.
They're
For the past few
Close for them, and there's
Okay.
still a chance. There's still right person.
there is still a chance. There's still a chance. Still a chance.
I'm gonna leave you
All
alone
right.
on that. Cheers.
Yeah, I was
Alright,
waiting for you to
yeah.
join me, but you did. You kind of left me hanging there, but it's okay. We can sit here in silence for a bit.
Sure. So anyway, we've got UT Dallas still close for them, and there's still the chance. There's still
Cool.
right person. Thanks. Okay, so yeah, listen, there's different ways to jive with your co-caster. Personally, I thought it was a funny moment, so this goes back to my other point as well about like building intentionality behind your content. What do you want to show about your casting clip that you thought was good? Was it that you were purely analytical? Was it that you thought you created a funny moment? Was it that you show you can be a good co-caster and jive with somebody else? So that's part of what I was trying to achieve with that. But yeah, I'm just gonna wrap up and then we can get to Kendo's questions and stuff. Flexing your casting skills. This is more like a caster that is a tweeter. And the bullet I have here is if you're only tweeting go live tweets, you're doing it wrong.
Dang it!
Yeah, and listen, I am calling out 98% of casters out here.
You are.
So if you take this personally, that was the point of it. I do it too, right? But truthfully, you have to ask why people are following you on Twitter. And, you know, maybe there are some people that just want to use your platform as a medium to access your events. And that's great. But truly, Twitter is a content platform. So what I think could be better is showing off what you do as a caster and adding a little bit of spice to it as well. Because we talked earlier today when Taco was here about, you know, oh, hey, this is a good clip. Let me throw this on Twitter. Get some intentionality behind it. Maybe edit it a little bit. Taco said throw a PNG in there, you know, of a maple syrup when he was doing a syrup call. Or you could do the style I did with the video I just showed where it's me and my caster and text above it so it's more accessible to people. I think that's a way to go that, you know, shows people, hey, I am a caster. I create content. Here's what I do. Stuff like that. I think that's it, by the way. My final thoughts were, number one, content can be the bridge between a forgotten caster to a memorable caster. Taco said this best. He said, it doesn't matter if you have your best cast ever. If you're not getting in front of the camera, in front of the screen multiple times, it's just not going to matter. So helping you get in front of other people's eyes more is not just getting to cast more, it's creating content and putting that in front of people as well. And so that's why I think content is really important as a caster. Number two, content should follow brand. Know who you want to be as a caster first before you start putting out content. Because if you're just throwing content out there willy-nilly, nobody's really going to know what to expect. Nobody's going to know what you actually bring as a caster. It should fit the brand that you're trying to put out. And then finally, you should create content that energizes you. It's an expression of your personality. It puts you in your element. If it's more of a chore, if it's more of a bore, you're not doing it right. That's all I got.
Any
This has
questions
been my
on
TED
that?
Talk.
Yeah. Any questions on the TED Talk?
I just do, man.
doesn't sound like we have any questions on the TED Talk. So good coverage on the TED Talk, right?
Take it.
Absolution.
Go back to grid. Boom. Now we're all even Stevens. Oh, I do appreciate the point that the energy, it being that it does energize you. Does it make it effortless, or is it more of a? Is there still a grind there? What should be the happy medium? How far are we aiming as far as energizing? Wow, I can't talk. Another reason I'm not on the booth anymore.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right, kind of. No. Yeah, no. It's all about balance, right?
Mhm.
I think when we talked about burnout, it's because when you decide, is everything fine?
No, there we go. As in, that was actually the avenue I wanted to see. If
Okay, good. Okay. When we talk about with burnout, my train of thought. When you decide to be more than a caster and you truly want to create content, it's a good thing because it opens the door to many new ideas, but it's a bad thing because it opens every single door you can imagine. There is Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. There are plenty of different forms of content. So when Taco was saying, oh, good, I put out the tweet that I wanted to, but I haven't done the YouTube short I wanted. Okay, I got YouTube shorts scheduled for the next 2 weeks. But you know what? I didn't prepare the casting gig for tomorrow that I needed to do, so let me do that. You've got to set proper expectations for yourself. You can't have to nail down, I got to do this once a day, I got to do this once a week. Try out different expectations. See what works. Yes, creating content that energizes you will be helpful because it allows you to keep that energy throughout all the other things you want to do. But I'm a victim of this. I get lost between so many different content paths I want to do that none of them really reach the level of traction that I'm trying to get them to. So, you're getting advice from someone who fails at it constantly. So keep that in mind. But I think setting expectations is very important and adapting those to what works.
Going back to the how much content is too much, is there such a thing as too much content? One of the reasons and the motivations behind the question was kind of what we're talking about right now. It gets to a point where if you are spreading yourself so thin, the potency is not to where it is as effective. Would you say? I'm trying to formulate a question off of that because I feel like there is a point there that I want to make, but I also want to get it into a question form to where we can bounce off of each other with it.
I will say I had a very similar discussion recently. I just casted this event with Bass from the Past, right?
Mm-hmm.
He and I take Twitter extremely differently. He goes quantity focused. I go quality focused. Like spending a weekend with him, I realized how much time, maybe not how much time he spent on Twitter, but truly how many tweets he did put out. And it's not just tweets, it's also replies. And I didn't say quantity over quality because I think his replies and his tweets are very good. So it's hard to give like an opinion that makes sense here because I think it just has to fit your style.
Yes.
My style is, hey, I was a consultant for 4 years. I like to inject humor and silliness when it's right, but I also bring a professional element. So I'm not really living on Twitter. I'm 26 years old. If I put it on Twitter, it's very, and there's a lot of intention behind it. And this is what I truly wanted to put out for you. It's not very willy-nilly. But if your style is, I'm gonna engage in every conversation I can because I have good points, then great. I think it all comes back to intention, Kendo, because I'll also see people that it looks like they're getting on Twitter just to have their face like seen everywhere.
Yes, okay.
And that to me lacks good intention.
Okay. So one of the questions that I had wanted to ask earlier was, what is the theme of your content? Is there a purpose behind each and everything you do? I'm also going to preface it with this. Taco, I'm glad we had him because the reactions he has, the clips and shorts, some of the like the clip that we showed, things that he puts together, skits are fantastic, but your expertise seems to be on structured spots, your interaction with people, especially in your stream. So
Yeah, it's
we
funny
preface
because
off of that, and then the question
Okay.
is, what is the theme of your content?
Okay.
How do you purpose in your content?
Yeah, I see people live streaming all the time, and it's like Rocket League gameplay, and there's a lot of people that do make that work. Number one, maybe they're very funny. Number two, maybe they're very good. But for me, I don't think that's enough. I try to hold myself to a higher standard. So my theme with my content is something that will inspire engagement. Like 2 out of my daily 7 streams, right? The theme for Wednesday and Thursday is strictly grinding mechanics. Like at the start of 2023, I changed my entire button layout, and I'm trying to incorporate right air roll and boost on different buttons to specifically start learning mechanics. I played for 6 years. I've never half flipped in my life, right? So I am engaging my community by saying, okay, let's grind mechs. Let's see how far we can go. Let's see how we can push the ceiling. Tuesdays, I run tournaments. Mondays, we do marbles. Saturdays, it's variety. It's games that people want to play. So I think themes like are really important so that people know what to expect. But live streaming is also just good for community engagement.
Yes.
Here's a great example. I cast on the main event for the community broadcast of SSA, Sub-Saharan Africa, for RLCS. I had been able to form relationships with the pros there because I stream. Those pros will just hop into my stream. We'll talk. They'll play lobbies with me, games with me, whatever, and we'll chit chat about the region. We'll chit chat, like creating a space for you to engage with your community, creating a space. And I'm sure for Taco, a ton of CRL players will hop in his chat, right? Yeah. And he'll be able to interact with them, develop relationships, and build that trust as a figure in the community. My live streams are for engagement, are for content, but they're also very much just there as a space to interact with the community.
Checking to see if there are any questions at this point. Is everybody awake?
Yes.
Yep, but I'm awake.
Hey, we're having a good conversation again, though.
I was gonna say
that works too.
Wanted to make sure that nobody did a nuggy run, you know, because I've been in that sort of a food coma before. But
Paulie, give me 1 second. You're not going to believe your eyes.
Wait a minute, Vizzy, do you have nuggies?
Even better.
Dino nuggies?
Just watch. Just watch.
Watch? Okay. My body's ready for this. This is actually the predictive cast content.
Yes. Here.
This is actually gonna be. Wait a minute. What?
Hey.
That's one of my favorite hoodies. Chicky Nuggies and got Dino Nuggies on it. It is
Yeah.
amazing. It's unfathomable.
Okay, M. Night Shyamalan twist. It was a shirt or a hoodie, not actual nuggies, but I still feel like the point that was made holds not only true, but extra weight now.
Yes.
Jurassic weight, Pyro.
Yes, you got it.
I don't think I had anything to add on Cheeky Nuggies. I think it speaks for itself.
It does. You just look at it, you nod your head, and then you move on.
Petitioning once again to have the exclamation point cringe in the CCH for me. Anyway.
Yeah, you call me cringe.
No, I'm referring to me. I tried to have
the second person.
I tried to have
called
a
out tonight. Kendo really taking the beef approach to content creation
I'm
now.
I'm not calling anybody out. I'm calling myself cringe. What are we talking about?
So he's starting beef with himself. That's crazy.
I'm taking this to Twitter.
Gonna end up doing my own little. I'll end up doing my own little skit. That'll be me boxing myself.
Let's go.
I'll pretend to be 2 teams, or maybe even better, 2 regions.
Oh,
boy!
It'll be NA boxing EU, and they're just beating the snot out of each other. And then, if Falcons win, actually, I'm gonna do this. If Falcons win, the winter major, because I don't foresee anybody else being able to pull it off this time around. Falcons, they still got the chutzpah. They can do it at any given time. They just need to put it all together simultaneously. But if they win, we're gonna make content. It's gonna be NA Kendo versus EU Kendo in a boxing match, and then all of a sudden Falcons win the championship.
you realize we're all gonna hold you to that, right?
I realize that.
Yeah,
I will
this.
find a way to make this skit happen.
Yeah,
Especially
we can have a
because you've
Stetson
recorded
for
this
NA
too.
and a beret for you.
A beret.
I feel like I need to see Kendo in a beret. Actually, I just realized.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
With the glasses, it's just magnificent, you know.
Fun fact: before the Halo topper, I used to have berets, and I used to use berets more often than any other topper.
All the more reason we need to see you in one.
So go figure.
There you go.
I had
Especially because now you've recorded yourself saying you're going to do this. So
Well, yes.
I feel like the onus is
this is the content.
let's go Falcons.
Let's go Falcons.
I mean, I was already rooting for them anyways, but let's go Falcons.
You see, I have to be there in a non-bias or a non-partisan way, so we'll figure everything out there.
I feel like he's going to root against Falcons so that way he doesn't have to put the work into it.
No, I can't do it.
Oh,
Not gonna do it.
I don't know how Dignitas are going to survive the group they're in.
It's crazy. I'm just egging Kendo on at this point.
Pretty much.
I'm going to get him fired.
Oh, fired. You can't fire me if I don't make any money. I'm joking.
True. That's crazy.
I'm joking. I'm joking. Anyone who is watching this, I'm joking. The joke is
Prize
always...
in having been there, done
We
that
make money?
as a beginner caster.
Anyway. Let's see here. Let me, now that we've derailed the train, we were going through Ohio.
Yeah, that's
for a
on me.
second.
Sorry.
Let me see if I can get back
Swag
to a
like Ohio.
cohesive point.
Y'all hear what Busy
gosh.
just said? That's Did anyone else catch that?
What, the swag like Ohio?
Yeah. I was like,
Proper
I
meme.
know.
Proper meme. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. I was sad I couldn't see at the LAN Pyro. My OSU boys went, but I couldn't go with them.
Oh yeah. I didn't get to meet anyone from OSU, actually.
Darn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, their first quarterfinal matchup was against our rival UO, and it was a clean sweep against us, but they took them all to like 1-goal games. So
Oh.
close.
Yeah, we weren't able to stream that either.
Let's see. Okay, I wanna go with. Okay, actually, I won't even save this for the end. We'll go straight into it. Your
Nice.
favorite moment of content, whether in the booth or out of the booth.
I just had a passion project that, like, I knew it needed to happen as soon as I thought of it. Because for me, as someone who has streamed as long as he's casted, I have, I get inspiration in casting the same way I do as creating. And so this one really didn't have anything to do with casting. This one simply had to do with seeing so many game shows and all of them being trivia, like all of them being a spin-off Jeopardy, like every single one I saw. And I remembered an ESPN show, Around the Horn, that I loved as a kid to watch. Like, shout out Woody Page. My man was hilarious. And I was like, hold the phone. I'm like, I can do that, but cater it to Rocket League. And I know so many people that would love to compete in this. So the instant I thought of it, I knew it had to happen, because truly as a creator, whether it's related to casting or not, you have to work off of those moments of inspiration. You have to, because content is whatever you want to make of it. It truly is. It is simply something you create, and that forms from imagination. So having that moment of inspiration, I knew it would be like a passion project I needed to build into a reality. So I'm like, I did it a year ago for season 1. I'm doing it now for season 2. And every time I do it, I know I'm just in my element. Like, I love what I'm doing as a game show host, building something I've never seen before that I think could truly take off. That to me was probably my proudest and my happiest moment of content, because it was something that was like truly born out of my own imagination. And I got to see not only it in reality, but other people as fans or as competitors have the time of their lives doing. And when I can see that joy from other people into something I've brought into this world, like, that makes me feel very fulfilled and happy.
Just to clarify, you're talking about Rotate, which is the game show, correct? I
Never
don't know.
Explained it.
I don't know that we actually completely explained it.
We did not. We definitely didn't. I made a game show called Rotate, which is Around the Horn but Rocket League themed, where I am the host and there are 3 contestants who do not answer trivia but just give their opinions. Like, I remember one of the first ones was SSG better off kicking Sipical or something from their team?
Wow.
Yeah. Back when that happened. And I got opinions from people. And you know what? If I like their opinion, I'll give them points. If I don't, I'll probably still give them points, because at least they're giving me opinion. But it's about, like, how convincing can you make your argument? How well is your argument formulated? And other factors included. But if you annoy me, you do lose points and or get muted. So that's fun as well.
So Jar didn't have many opportunities to talk.
You know,
why would you do that to him?
You know, shout out to Jar, because he made it to the finals. He almost won, but
there we go.
Didn't quite take it home. Yeah.
So how many episodes of Rotate have you done, and where can everybody find it? Feel free to link it in the casting workshop. Because
just look up PyroJ on stream, or on Twitch, PyroJ_. And if you're following me on Twitter, I announce every episode. So you're already good there. But I have done 4 episodes of season 1, and now we're doing 4 more episodes for season 2. I've done 2 already, so that's 6 total. Episode 3 will happen once I get back from my next trip, which isn't until like 2 weeks from now. So yeah.
So are you planning on pulling anybody big for that?
My like unimaginable objectives with this, right? My shoot for the stars and you'll land in the moon, right? Is like, First Touch started as a podcast, right? Yeah. And oh my God, now it's live streamed on Rocket League's Twitch channel every week, right? That was just born from an idea of like-minded peers that wanted to produce a form of content, and it was embraced by Rocket League and put to the highest of levels. I truly believe that, like, that anyone kind of has that ability to build something as well respected and as engaging and as awesome as that. So yeah, in the future, I do want to bring in some more notable personalities. For now, it's mostly been peers who, for the most part, are casters. But yeah, the best thing about it is you can ask a Rocket League question like, which car is better, the Roadhog or the Scarab? And anyone that has played Rocket League, whether they're a caster or creator, can answer that. And that's the beauty of it. So I do want more higher profile people, but it's also just really fun. So if I have people I know that will just do really good on the show, I'll bring them in as well.
I almost feel like I wanted to interject on that right off the bat. If anyone answers,
try to get some
if
points.
if anyone answers Scarab,
Exactly. The
just
answer is
game over.
Roadhog.
Like,
Respect.
Respect. I will kick everybody out. It'll be the end of the workshop 15 minutes early. No Scarabs allowed here. Anyway.
Dang. I have a feeling some of these people might get server muted for their opinions now. But
exactly.
You know.
And Rage quits the workshop.
Oh mercy. I love Rotate though. I've seen a couple of clips recently and it's one of my favorite contents that you do. So
thank you.
I'm looking forward to seeing as you're able to secure more high profiles. I would like my ultimate thought is if you ever get T-baits on Rotate.
Oh no.
That
over. Yeah.
that could be that could be where it all kicks off.
That could be the best or worst decision.
Oh, it'd be the best. It would be the best. The game show favors people who are argumentative.
Yeah, okay. If it is that, then yeah, T-Bait's your golden boy.
If you have an opinion, you will do well. That's it.
There we go.
He'll be the Bomani of Rotate.
15
He
minutes.
just keeps winning.
15 minutes. Does anybody have any questions? I know we've gone an hour and 45, so we've expired a lot of we've expired a lot of thought on this, and I'm personally very close to out. I have the question: can someone make it as a commentator without creating avenues of content? I feel like we've answered that 3 times over already. The answer is no, but we could elaborate on that a little bit.
I'd say in theory, yes, if you make just the right connections, but 95% of people are going to fail if they just don't.
I mean, you have to remember that the whole conversation, like this whole topic relates so well to pros as well, right? Mm-hmm. It's not the same, but there's been many high profile community figures who have talked about, you know, if you're a pro in Rocket League and you're not making content, what are you doing? Like you should be, and it will even help you make the right connections to join the right teams. You will be more marketable to orgs because guess what? I mean, there's many theories out there for NRG. The reason they keep their players on their team isn't because they know they'll win majors or they'll make majors or they'll make teams, but they create content using those players. They still have a massive fan base because of those players. They can still push sponsors because of those players and their, you know, their notability in the scene. So if you're a pro, you do want to aspire for that. But at the same time, Taco said it earlier, not all pros are geared well or want to or would do well making content. And maybe that's the same for a caster too.
A notable example in the pro scene, I can think of his First Killer. He's good enough at the game where he has that notoriety behind him, but he like streams every once in a while and doesn't really make much content outside of the occasional tweet.
I think
example.
This one actually hurts me a little bit to say, but you look at like the YouTube push from Beast Mode. And
yeah.
I love, like I've had the opportunity to like lifetime Beast Mode fan from the very moment we had him on KCP. Like I love Landon. So I'm not trying to diss at all, but you watch some of that content, it feels just a tiny bit forced. So
Especially-
it's a little bit rough. But at the same time, I will say, I personally watch and eat that up because his thought processes, he's vocal about them when he does it. So, between Beast Mode and, say, someone like Appjack, both of them, the way that they communicate their thought process as they are going throughout a 1v1 or a certain scenario, it's something that I feel like we need more of in Rocket League. You don't get too much of it. So I do think that his content is good. But I also see where it almost feels like, and you can talk about some of, like, I don't know if there's anxiety there or not, but for Beast Mode's almost always been out of the limelight since the very beginning. Does that on purpose, stays out of it. And I respect that, you know?
True.
There we go.
Cool.
Let's see here. Well, if there is nothing really else to talk about, we can rock out some last words. Last questions. You can pump yourself, Pyro, if you'd like, or
I'm
give us an epilogue.
apparently I already had follow me on Twitter come across my screen during my presentation, so I feel like I'm out of plug opportunities, and that is quite all right. No, I mean, Kenta, thanks for giving me the chance to talk about it. I have huge aspirations in terms of both casting and content creation. So much so that at the beginning of the year, I made a full couple pages of resolutions and categorized it in casting, and then a full couple pages of resolutions and categorize it by content. Like I work on both so much, and I love the fact that, you know, there are casting lulls in this industry, and that's where I can go hard on the content. And then there are hikes in casting where I can't really perform as much content, but it's a blessing because I'm trying to make it as caster too. So yeah, I appreciate being having the platform to share my perspective. Thank you, Kento.
You're very welcome. Thank you for the time. And you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording there, and we can just chill for the next 10 minutes. Everybody, if you're watching on the YouTube side and you're catching what you missed, much love. We were happy for you to watch, and hey, keep on casting. Next one is most likely going to be next month. We had someone fall through, and doesn't look like we're going to be able to get a second one. So anybody who is interested in casting workshop, throw me a VOD, you know, to give me something to critique. I'll be happy to do it all of this month. You can get in the Discord. You can DM me on Discord. You can @ me on Twitter for all I care. And I will try my best to make sure that I get that to you in a timely manner. It may end up being in a not so timely manner because things get busy. So we'll see y'all on the flip side.